When I was 14 years old, I had hiking boots on and a heavy pack on my back, and I was trudging through the bush next to my outdoor ed teacher. And I cannot remember exactly my conversation or the questions I must have been asking, but I do remember his response. And he turned to me and said, "Catherine, please, stop focusing and asking about our destination campsite tonight. Please just enjoy the journey. We're here out camping as a class to enjoy the journey and enjoy the walk." And I believe when he turned away, I may have rolled my eyes and laughed because I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. I was 14 years old and the world was black and white to me. And to me, it was all about getting to that destination as fast as possible. When I was 16 years old, I arrived home from a year-long cultural exchange in Holland, the Netherlands. And on my year away, I learned so much about the world, and I also learned so much about myself. And I remember sitting in the car on the way home from the airport, and my dad was driving and my mum was in the passenger seat. And after lots of excited chatting about the past year and catching up, my mum said, "Oh, by the way, Catherine, your sister and I did a really awesome course while you were away overseas. There's a free weekend event coming up. Would you like to go? I think it'll really help you with your year 11 and 12. And I was just about to embark on that scary journey of year 11 and 12, and yes, please, I would love to do that. And so I went along, and at this event and so many subsequent events I went to, I saw speakers on stage chatting about mindset, and it's all about the mindset, and as long as you sort that out and get rid of those belief systems that are holding you back, you will reach that success you've always wanted. I heard speakers talk about health and how to eat healthy and live a healthy life. I heard speakers talk about financial abundance, about how to start your own business, about so many different topics. And one of the smaller topics that I heard spoken about quite often was the idea of goal setting. And I remember the first time I came across goal setting, it was explained to me as set big, hairy, audacious goals for yourself. And I thought, okay, big, hairy, audacious goals. Big, I guess that means goals got to be big. Hairy, no idea what they mean by hairy. Why? How can a goal be hairy? Audacious. Okay, audacious, to me that meant ambitious. So maybe it's got to be like some really big, impressive goal that if I accomplish it, it'll be like, oh, look what I can do, so I can prove myself to the world and prove myself to myself. I think that maybe shows some 16-year-old insecurity coming through. And what struck me was I set about and I thought, okay, I'm going to consciously set these goals. And it was the first time in my life I'd ever actually sat down and asked myself, what do I want to achieve? What kind of goal do I want to set for myself? And this was fascinating, and I was thinking, okay, but it's got to be big, hairy, and audacious. And I set some goals for myself, and I mapped out the timeline, and I mapped out all the milestones. And then a year later, I was having a hissy fit to my mum because I discovered that a year down the track, I'd only accomplished a tiny little bit of parts of those goals, and in fact, most of them hadn't even happened. And my mum rightly pointed out to me that, yes, it is true that I hadn't necessarily achieved those goals I'd wanted to, but I'd achieved a whole lot of other stuff along the way. And my mum pointed out how important this other stuff was, and that perhaps that other stuff was much more in alignment with me and with what I want to do, rather than those goals I had set in a moment of wanting to prove myself. And I agreed that she was right, and I decided, you know what? I'm just going to throw in the towel, and I kind of gave up on goal setting. And part of the reason I decided to just stop with the goal setting and give up on it was because I started studying different personality profiles and different personality types, and there are so many. You can get so many personality types on the internet. And what I discovered is a common feature among many of them is that there are kind of 4 basic types. And in reference to goal setting and choosing a destination and setting out on that journey to that destination, I found that there are some people who don't really even think about goals and just more live in their heads, or they do set a goal, but they kind of go around in circles and spirals and get there with more heads in the clouds. And you get people who can be called quite choleric, and they set a goal for themselves and they just go there. They just barge through any obstacles, sometimes If they need to hurt a relationship or two along the way, that doesn't matter as much to them as long as they achieve that goal. And there are other people who don't know how to reach that goal. They have no idea how to get to that destination, but they know the next step. And so they take that and they go a bit off course, but they see that they're off course and they go back, and through this process, they find their way there. And then I felt like there were people who were more like me, who don't really suit goal setting, I thought, because I'm a much more follow my intuition and just do what feels right, and follow all the different things that I can do, all the different passions I have. Follow those, and then I kind of find goals fall out of the sky and land in my lap, and I've achieved something I've always wanted to. And I don't know how I got there. I don't know how I managed to achieve that thing, but I find myself there like, oh, that was cool. And then I move on. And because I finally realized that I'm not very good at living that structured, hitting the milestone every week kind of person, and I'm the personality type that goes along in a very fluid, flowing manner, that's why I decided, all right, you know what, stuff goal setting, whatever, I don't care, I'm just going to live my life doing what feels right. And at the same time as deciding that, I also came across the quote. In fact, it was in a conversation, someone said to me, as a side comment, oh yeah, I know, it's like we're not human doings, are we? We're human beings. And their side comment really stuck with me. I was like, yeah, we are human beings. We're not human doings. And I realized that I spent so much of my time doing. I spent so much of my time thinking that the point is about doing and the point is about getting to that destination. When I'd been 14, all I was focused on and all I wanted was to hike through that bush and do the walking and get to that destination as fast as possible. And now I was coming to realize that actually, perhaps the point is being. Perhaps there is much more power in focusing on who we are rather than just what we do. And perhaps I wanted to focus much more of my attention and energy in how I was being as a human being. And so, in my 18th year, I really focused on this beingness, and it was always in my mind. And I still found myself, however, at the end of a night, lying in bed and thinking over the day. And I would think, oh, you know, how successful was my day? How much did I get done? And those were my thought patterns. And then I would congratulate myself and feel a sense of satisfaction when I had done lots that day. And I still had to keep reminding myself, no, but it's about the beingness, but yet I still felt that satisfaction when I'd done things. I didn't congratulate myself when I had just been my true self that day and had sparkling conversations with people as I was buying my groceries. I didn't necessarily see that as something to be satisfied about, because as far as I was concerned at that time, that wasn't necessarily important, and it was writing that blog post or answering that email or doing that interview or preparing that talk or workshop that was important, and it was the doingness. So even though in my mind I knew the beingness is so powerful, I so struggled to integrate it into my life. On the 1st of December, 2013, not very long ago, I hopped on an airplane and went to Europe. And it was my first time back to Europe after 3 years. And I have lots of dear, dear family and friends in Europe, and I was so excited to see them all. I travelled through England, Belgium, France, Germany, and Holland, seeing all my family and friends that live over there. And because I know myself and I know how set on doing I can get, I told myself very sternly before leaving that while I was overseas, my main purpose was going to be being with my family and my friends and connecting with them. I told myself sternly that this trip was not about doing work. I closed all my business affairs in Australia for those 2 months so that I could simply be with them. And I was really curious about how it would go, because I seem to have this natural compulsion to do things and get things done, and my work is very aligned with my values, and I absolutely love the work I do and the business I run, so it was really hard not to work, and oddly enough, really hard to take a holiday, but I forced myself to. For the first 3 weeks, it was quite easy. I was surprised at how little oomph I had to get going on my business. I was very happy that I left it, and I was just enjoying my time. And then slowly it crept back. Slowly I was just like getting really restless because I was having all these new ideas for my business, and here I was 5 weeks away from landing home and I couldn't do any of it. And then I realized something that was a lightning bulb moment for me. For the first time in my life, my destination, which is what I'd always been so focused on, had become my journey. For the first time in my life, my destination, my goal that I was telling myself was to simply be, was to simply have that journey and enjoy that time. And for the first time, I started integrating what it means to be and be satisfied with how one's day has gone by how one has been in the day, as opposed to the things one has got done. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you all today is because you are in high school and you have so many destinations laid ahead of you. You have so many people in society, teachers, parents, friends who are chatting about these destinations. They're chatting about the marks you need to get, the homework you need to do. They're chatting about the end ATAR score you need to get in year 12. They're chatting about getting into uni and getting into the course you want and then doing well at uni and then getting that degree and then landing that next job and then hopefully finding someone who you love and settling down and getting married and having kids and having the big house. And all these destinations seem laid out in front of us. But I think it is so important to come back to the beingness, because I think the point of destinations is simply to bring us into excitement and motivation in the moment. I don't think it is good to throw away the towel on goals. I think goals are fantastic, so long as when you think of that goal in the future, it excites you right now and inspires you to do work towards that goal right now. I didn't achieve those other goals I'd set for myself because they didn't excite me. It wasn't aligned with my values and what I believe and what I want to do in this world and what I want to create and the change I want to bring about. And so I really, really believe that the point is about bringing in the focus on a goal, but not letting that rule your life. And schools are so good at teaching us how to do things. Schools are so good at teaching us how to do math and homework and write essays. And I think it's so vital to, in your own time, really explore that journey with yourself and who you are inside and what is important to you. Explore your values and what really means a lot and what change you want to create in the world. Every single person I know has greatness within them, and so many of us bring it out, and there's so much more potential to bring it out even more and create incredible change in this world we live in. Esther and Jerry Hicks have a quote which I love, and it is that the only reason that we set a destination is because it gives us a reason to focus and therefore have the journey. I think without that destination or goal, journeys can be very aimless, and I still think that destination and goal is so incredibly important. And never lose sight of the real reason you ever have a destination or a goal for yourself in life, and that is for you to experience the journey and to choose a journey that will help you become your greatest you along the way. Thank you.